When you're ready. Member Warren, Member Fonte, Member Foltz, Member Soretta, Member Stroya, Member Revolt, and President Peters. 7 present. Hold on one moment, everyone. I've been told by the public that the audio is not working on our live stream.
Press pound to continue.
Stop.
Well,
Please enter
I
the
wasn't gonna say it.
password followed by
Stop.
pound.
Audio is the most
You
important
have
part
not
of the
entered
audio
any
streaming.
numbers. Please re-enter the meeting
It is,
password
yes.
followed by pound.
All right, the audio has been fixed.
You can please
Thank
Okay,
you.
So we're back on. So
Do you want me to repeat?
yeah, if you could, Steph, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So in this resolution, we are asking to put the Pierce fire engine and then 25 Scott air packs up for sale on the auction block. I believe the site is for sale gov or gov for sale. And we've put many other vehicles and different machines and equipment on the site in the past and have received some monies for it. So it's a way for us to make a little extra money and repurpose some vehicles. So if there are no other questions or concerns, I'd like to move that it goes to the agenda.
Okay.
enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
We trying to get someone else on, Ben? Is that what's going on?
It looks like Kim is joining with phone audio instead of computer audio.
Okay.
I muted her for now, and she can unmute herself if she needs to.
Okay.
We're good to continue if you're waiting on
Oh,
me.
yeah,
okay.
we're
Sorry.
good.
Steph, do you want to go over 3B?
Yes. Sorry. Okay. So here I know we brought this back to committee and I'd like to amend the agenda later so that we can also move it to the council meeting. But a couple of people had questions on the last budget. And then I know Gina was great about getting us that information. Just one thing I wanted to mention is the budget can be amended at any time. So for instance, a lot of the positions were staggered starts. So the battalion chief or having a finance assistant director. So even though they're budgeted, if at that time we don't have the monies or that our income is not what we think it is going to be, we can amend those budgets to say remove this position. And I think that gives us a lot of flexibility, that this is a moving document, just like all of our budgets are at home. And it's even actually more live than we've ever seen it because of what the finance director has been able to give us, with knowing which check is processed each day or what line item things are going to. And I know Daryl had asked the finance director to also start generating a monthly consolidated expenditure report that will match the budget. So it will give us an idea of what our expenses are, where our wages are, also along the line of a revenue statement. And I think that will help. Even though it's all listed in our new documents, I think that will help keep us very on track of where the budget is. So that was just some things that after talking to Gina over the past weeks and Matt and different council people that I just keep learning, and I look at how tight our budget is and where we are.
Okay.
So
any
this is just the
questions?
beginning, this is just the beginning to put it on. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so
This is-
I didn't know if we had any more questions. I think what we meant to do last time was really move it to the agenda, but we moved it to our council meeting. So I will ask for a motion to move it to the council agenda so that we can have 3 readings during that meeting, and hopefully that will happen. But are there any other questions or issues that you wanted to ask? I know we all got the reports that Gina generated. And Mark and I had talked, and I know that we looked at salaries and the increase in different wages and different line items like that. And all of you were copied on that.
Yeah, this is Foltz. Just a follow up. I think what should be discussed, because I think, a transition with somebody that can take charge of the department is very important to us at this stage. We've seen how it doesn't work. We want to make sure that works in the future. But also, I think to be fair to the administration, I think, and that's something maybe the monthly reports will reflect. I mean, I remember getting reports where you actually knew how many people were in each department. And I think there's been some changes here that I wasn't aware of. I don't know about the rest of council, where I think some positions have been streamlined, or there's been more efficiency from the administration on personnel, that some people are no longer with us that were before. And I think that leads credence to looking at these other positions differently versus just 5 or 7 add-ons. They're really not add-ons. It's just a reconfiguration of the existing employee structures that we have through our different departments. Pat, is that a fair assessment? Or
It's a great point. Great point.
Yes, that's a fair assessment. We've tried to get folks in positions where they can be more responsive to where we are heading with administration of all the departments and what we all are tasked to do. Although I didn't give you names, but we've had some discussions in the past where we've mentioned that there were 3 positions that were in essence deemed obsolete because we were able to accomplish what was left of their duties over the years with some improvements in technology. And as a result, those salaries, are back. Now, I think it was mentioned before that, yes, they are not at the level of salary that these new positions are, but they're about 75% of it. So I think that's one way of trying to get, more bang for the buck by trying to get people in the right position where we can effectively improve our performance from delivering services and from keeping the cost to operate things in line, that we don't have any errors and omissions that end up costing us more money.
Yeah, okay, exactly what I wanted to talk about. So it's not just like we're adding 5 or 7 positions on, we're going to fund them. I mean, we've done a great job of, as Pat, you just indicated, and I was trying to allude to it earlier, of streamlining operations or playing to our strengths with our existing employees and structures. We've done a lot here lately with different departments of how, we've hired local companies to help us on some things. We've gone, it's not the building department of old, obviously. I mean, we've done a lot in 3 or 4 years. So it just makes sense that we look at some kind of transition period when we do lose some of our large department heads or our important department heads in the city. So I think that's the point I wanted to drive. It's just not adding 5 positions, say $80,000 with salary and wages. And I'm just putting a figure together here for $400,000. We've actually saved money by streamlining, and we're just giving ourselves the opportunity to move forward in a different direction, which will be more efficient for government overall.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my point. Hopefully you guys are fine.
Doug,
Well,
I think that's a great point. And I even think about, so people talk about the Kmart properties or some of the other properties that we have bought. We couldn't have probably done that alone with our law director before. We would have had to hire that out. So now with the firm that we've hired, they have experts in that field. And we rely on those experts, just like when we call in and try to get information from the permits department or the law department or from the finance department. Those are our experts. We are not experts in those fields, so we have to rely on those people. And I give Pat credit for saying that he isn't an expert in these fields and needs to hire that out. Because we'd have to pay for it later when we have to fix things, which it seems like, and I wasn't on council, but Pat has told me they've had to do in different people in the past.
Well,
And that's leadership.
That's right. And Stephanie, to that point, I think the administration has had a plan to move everybody into one city hall building, which would give more oversight to the daily management aspects of what the city's doing in all
Right.
departments. And I think that's critical when you have, actually oversight, not just, different, what's going on. You're always looking to see how you can improve your department or improve your services to the public. And I think that's the criteria we should always be looking at. So thank you for my comments on that. Allow those. And
Well, it's interesting. I thought today, so Mr. Van Gundy called me today to follow up on constituents' comments. I never had anyone call me to follow up. And when you have that expertise, we don't get complaints in our permits department like we used to. We have actually people saying, we want to work with you. We like what you're doing now. What has changed? What's different? What is with the service that we get that North Canton residents deserve? Well, that's because they hired it out and we have experts working there now. I mean, you have a person that has made code before. And I think that says a lot to where we're at with moving the city.
okay.
Steph, if I may add into something, Doug, and excuse my throat, I got this throat thing going on
Sure.
right now.
Sure.
And Doug, I appreciate your words, and I do believe in preparing for successful employee attrition. I mean, that's very important. But this is an unusual time right now. This is a time where, and we're not even into the thick of things. And I'll bet you every one of you, all of us, have a hiring freeze at every one of your companies right now. If you don't, then I'm sure you will come down the road. And here we're talking about spending and hiring and putting on new people. This is where I have a little issue with all of this right now. I guess maybe I'm in the conservative mode right now because I usually do like to spend money and make things good and make everything look the top we can in our community. But right now, we don't know what's going to be going on come January through June at least. So to sit here and talk about adding people and increasing people's salaries when a lot of our people are losing their jobs and the companies aren't doing so well and the businesses in our community, and if their businesses aren't doing well, then our business surely is not going to do well. And sooner or later, that's going to catch up with us. So the only reason I'm really against this is I think we need to be more conservative, put it on hold, and wait till some of this stuff kind of pans out. It's only, if anything, a year. I think you're going to see this thing throughout the year, all the way through. But to just go ahead and jump at this right now, I think in my own mind, it's a little financially irresponsible. So that's where I'm going to stay on that subject.
Mark, thanks for the input. This is Dom. I was thinking along the lines of what you're saying, but the way I was understanding it, and Pat and the president and anybody on board, fill me in. But I was thinking that this is, we still control the line item dollars
Right.
the pay. So they're just making an opportunity that if it does come up, we still have the power and the control for the pay line items. Is that correct or not?
Yes,
That is correct.
See,
yes.
so my understanding is that just from a logistical standpoint, if let's say we put this in place for the transition, or in some cases, someone can work into the transition, in some cases not. But it just gives more flexibility, I think, from an administrative standpoint to be able to ebb and flow. But at the end of the day, council makes a full decision on the money, the budget, the everything to do with the line items, pretty much. And if I'm not sure on that, if I'm not saying it correctly, can
No,
someone
you are.
clarify that understands it? Okay, Matt, maybe Pat, or anybody that understands it better. Let me know, because I want to make sure Mark and I are on the same page.
You're right,
No,
Dom.
no, I hear you, Dom. And this is the same strategy that this is the way the strategy is. In the real world, we wouldn't be doing this right now. But it seems like the government world, we can do this thing and just put money out. And if it doesn't work, how are we going to pay for it? Are our wages or fees and everything going to start moving up because we added positions and increased things that aren't going away? Once you add them, they're there. This isn't like you're doing a road and it's over with. Once you add a position, it's there. And it takes a long time to get rid of it. And usually you don't when you increase. So you have to pay for it in one way or the other. And
Okay.
I've been through school levies. I know how that works. You've got to, if you don't, once things start running out, you got to ask for more. And that usually ends up being either taxes or fees in our case. And, there are things that we need to look more to do more about it. The only way in the real world, when you want to add stuff and you don't have the money to pay for it, you either have to increase your costs or you have to reduce people to add something else.
Yep,
So
Daryl?
Mark, are you finished?
Yes, I'm finished now.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off.
You did, but go ahead.
I think just a couple comments. First of all, we're different from the private sector in that we're charged with providing a continuity of service. If Acme Click decides to close its doors for a day, not that big a deal. However, we can't shut off our water department for a day, or we can't close down EMS or fire. So as we look at our functions by contrast to the private sector, we are very different. This budget is balanced. In other words, when Pat and Gina and Stephanie sat down to work this thing out, they built it around projected revenues, a realistic and probably a very conservative estimate of what we thought we were going to bring in. Stephanie mentioned earlier that I think one of the things that will help us as we move forward is that if this budget is balanced and we begin to see in the monthly statements that Gina is going to provide that our expenditures are beginning to exceed our projections, or if our revenues aren't meeting our projections, we will have to take action. Because again, the option that we have is required by law to balance. And I would argue that if we are looking at an imbalance, then positions are on the chopping block. That's just the way it is. Because again, you have no choice but to balance. We're not like the feds.
And
So
Daryl,
excuse me. So I'm reasonably comfortable with this approach, but I'm comfortable with it, Mark, if and only if we monitor income and expense. And that's the critical part of managing the budget, as Stephanie suggested. You gotta watch it. And we have to pay particular attention to it because of the uncertainties surrounding COVID. But we're okay now. It's just conservative.
and I think this is Patrick to Stephanie's point, I think earlier, I don't believe that we have any of these positions slated to start January 1st.
No, they were March and July.
you know, and it obviously, it goes without saying that, you know, we start to see, you know, revenue numbers that are going down, then, you know, that causes us to put on hold what we're doing. I mean, nobody's suggesting that we go out here with reckless abandon, but, you know, right now, you know, the numbers are, you know, better than what other communities are seeing. And so we've taken a conservative approach to forecasting, but it could be wrong. It could be still too high. We will wait and see. But then again, we may be, you know, fairly spot on. But, and, you know, I guess, you know, and I hear what Councilman, you know, Soretta is saying, and I get it. I used to be over there too, and I'm not saying that you're taking a different tack, but I will say that, you know, sometimes that you pay for things one way or the other. And, you know, I guess from what I've seen on this side of the ledger now is that there's just been a lot of instances in the past where by not having the right personnel or sufficient personnel, that we've left ourselves open to a lot of risk. Some of that risk we've been lucky and we've avoided. Others we haven't, and it's cost us dearly. We all remember what happened with Dogwood Pool, and you know, I would contend that that very high six-figure problem wouldn't have occurred if we would have had a functioning building department, permit department at that time. It just, we didn't have the right personnel in place. And that's what you get when you have an economic development director running the building department. Details kind of get missed, and that was an important one. So there are lots of other things like that. And I guess you see it one way, you get it one way or the other, either on the front end or the back end. And I guess I've always found it that it's cheaper on the front end than the back end. But
Hey, Patrick,
I do appreciate Mark's input.
Patrick. So at the end of the day, like by doing this, you know, what's our worst case scenario, I guess? If like, let's say this passes, then you don't have to come back to council if you want to hire one or two people in July or April or whenever. But if, let's say, you know, we feel, you know, we're having another, I don't know, a situation where things are shutting down, the economics look bad, then as council, what is our power? Our power.
We can move to remove it from the budget. So I could bring it up at a meeting. You could bring it up at a meeting, and we could have it removed from the budget. And I think any of us, I don't believe that the mayor or Patrick would move forward if our revenues aren't what they are. I don't think Chief Bacon would. I trust everybody implicitly in that regard, that they have the best interest of our city. I don't think our finance director would allow that to happen. And we have the power.
That's a good point. Let me add on to this. I think that's a good point. But one, the jobs are staggered in a manner where we're going to see the tax revenue in March, April, and May, and we're going to have a handle on what's coming in and how COVID's going to affect this. And then the way that this new budget layout is set forward, we're able to see it very specifically and within that month. So, I mean, if it doesn't make sense to do it at that time, you don't do it. But proposing legislation right now gives us the flexibility to go either way with it.
That's exactly correct.
I guess the other thing that has been important to me is, after talking with Gina and Pat and the mayor, I know how the mayor ran his department when he was chief of police, and he was cautious and he was conscientious, and I don't believe that he would ask for things that weren't necessary. And I believe the same with the mayor or Chief Bacon. Chief Bacon has always been under budget and has never asked for anything. But I think that, and I give him credit for this, he's realizing he's at a retirement age or coming to it, and then may need some support. And I guess, and Mark, I'm with you too. If there was a second that I thought we didn't have the money, I will be the first to say we need to amend this. That's how I work my budget at home. I would never move forward on that. But with what I've seen, I like that it's the flexibility, and I like the numbers that will be provided for us in a second. And again, it's fluid. It's a live budget. We can change it anytime.
If I may, Mayor Wilder, you took the words out of my mouth there, Stephanie. I think we are faced with a fluid situation. And with my time here in office, I think I've had a good opportunity to look at performance throughout the departments here in the city. And my focus is on building a sustainable workforce for us as we go forward. And I understand, our goal of adding resources, to for investment or for what's our best revenue avenues. I know we've been lean for quite a while, but I think we need to keep in mind we're aligning ourselves with change, and the budget allows us to manage that. I am very thankful for the amount of time and effort by all the department heads and council and administration has put in, and especially Gina Alabak, our finance director, in really paring this down. I think this is one of the best budgets I've seen in my time in employment here with the city of North Canton. And absolutely, I think we've talked about the delivery of safety and the delivery of our services are paramount. And I understand too, we need to be solvent. You're exactly right, Mark. And I understand that. And but I really feel confident that this budget can work for us. And I know we're dealing with some short-term things here, but let's not forget the long-term of effect here of us going forward and looking at revenue generation and keeping a balanced budget. And I like the dialogue that I'm hearing tonight about the safeguards that council has in place for us. But I think what this brings to the reality of is it's bringing us together on an issue. But I am very thankful, and I trust the people who have put their time and effort and talents and experience into coming up with our budget for 2021. And I feel very confident that that what we have in place can work for us and work for the betterment and us to deliver, again, our services and in a better way and more efficient and effective way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So if there aren't any other questions, this is just on committee. I will ask later that we can move it to the budget. We still have two more readings after that, but we can keep talking. We can keep asking Gina questions, and I think that's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Okay. Next up, we got a few items here. First of all, in section 4B, we will not be discussing tonight. We're still gathering some information on that. We will bring that back to council for a later date. Ordinance 6720. You guys all have a copy. Ben, does everyone have the draft?
Yes, it went out with
Okay.
the packet.
All right. So you guys all have the draft ordinance for 6720, which sets the maximum annual compensation for all of the positions, but it also has a maximum number of positions to the right-hand side. Does anybody have any questions on that?
One question,
Go ahead.
Jeff. Jeff,
Yeah.
do we have something that shows the actual salaries that we can review at some point? Now, I know these are maximum compensation ranges, or the top of the grade there. Well, we have something to explain that another date where
You're
everybody.
talking current salary right now?
Correct.
Yeah,
Doug,
Gina,
did we get that at the end of last year? Do you remember that sheet? I feel like you and I were sitting beside each other, Doug.
Hmm.
Do you remember? It was when we were
The end of
talking
last
about.
year,
Yeah.
we might have. Well,
Okay.
Hey, Gina,
Gina, 2019. You're saying.
Yeah. Sorry.
This is Gina. I did see in the budget presentation last year, and I'm not sure if it was with the budget or separate, Laura did present a list of personnel and what their salaries would be with the proposed increase.
Okay.
Could I get a copy of that again?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
see like the current situation and the maximum, which is
Could you
what this.
Could you please send it to everyone?
Do you want that for this current year, 2020, like right now? Or for
Yes,
the proposed for next? Okay. Yep.
2020.
I'll send that. Yep.
Yeah, just
All right.
if you could do it in the same format as the
Okay.
draft ordinance there, just in that order, that way you can.
Compare.
Compare
Right.
to, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I think Gina mentioned to me there was only 4 people that are at the max right now. Is that
That's
correct,
correct.
Gina?
Yes.
Okay, and that we're gonna put, I'm gonna motion to have that put on the regular council meeting tonight as well for a second reading. So Gina, if you can get those numbers out to us at some point tomorrow, that'll give you some
Hey.
lead time prior to our third reading. Yeah, Dom?
President Peters, Dom, do they not have council salaries on there, or the mayor or the president on there? I didn't see the salaries for the council members and all that.
It's in
Is
a
that-
separate ordinance.
That's
Okay.
separate. We're not discussing that tonight.
Okay, I was
We're
just
gonna
saying. when I
table
looked
that.
at- Okay, fair enough.
Mr. President, just a point of clarification or order.
Yes, sir.
So what is it that you're reporting out? Because ordinance 6720 has had a reading. So
Right.
I'm not sure what you're, coming out of committee, there really isn't a change that can be made there. It should be made from the floor of council. Somebody makes a motion to amend it based on what you're seeing that's been distributed.
I don't think, I don't think anyone's amending it at this point.
There are no,
If
there
you're
are no
limiting the
changes,
number of
Patrick.
positions, you are amending it.
I don't think we're eliminating.
No, we're just having conversation.
No, I thought you said that these were numbering the maximum number of positions.
No.
Isn't that what I heard? I thought I
The
just
only
heard
thing,
that.
only thing I
Yeah.
was looking,
hold on 1 second, Patrick.
Yes.
There is, do you have a copy of this draft? Patrick?
I'm looking in the packet. I guess I'm on page 18 of 78. And I see what normally would be said, but I thought somebody just said tonight that there was, a number being assigned to each one of these line items as far as how many maximum number of people that you can have in that.
So
No, he said there were only 4 that were at their maximum. Is
Oh,
that correct?
Yeah.
And that was the question.
okay.
yeah, the
I
only thing,
misunderstood. I apologize. I
Mr.
misunderstood.
they were just looking to see a comparison on the pay scale in 2020 versus the maximum list that's attached.
My bad.
no, Patrick, you were right.
Patrick, yeah, you might have seen the Word document has the maximum number of positions on it.
In addition
It's with
to
that
the
packet.
packet, I distributed
Yeah.
an alternate draft that has maximum positions and is an option for council to consider. However, as ordinance 67 stands right now, it does not have position caps in it.
That is correct.
Okay.
So Patrick, if you don't have that document that shows the maximum number of positions per department, is that what I'm understanding? You don't have that?
No, what I'm asking is, are you amending 6720 to
No.
reflect?
No, no,
Okay, that's all I was asking.
No.
Yeah. no.
There's been a lot of paperwork and I got confused as all the stuff I'm looking at.
Yeah, me too.
Totally
as well.
on me. Totally on me.
Okay, move on.
Okay. All right, so are there any questions to that?
No.
Okay. So item 4C and actually 4D, we had talked about, actually 4C in the conversation regarding the budget, the battalion chief. And, I'm prepared to move forward with this. Do I have a majority of council that is behind
And
moving
this-
this forward?
And this would be for July if the monies exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
We're just,
yep.
we're just
And
placing
Then,
it in.
Steph, Dom here. So
Yeah.
this would be like a new position. Is this supposed to be like the July position if budget's there for a transition for taking over the chief's job eventually? Is that what?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's
So
correct.
they don't have an internal person to move up in that position? This would be like a separate outside person or an inside person for the battalion job?
Dom, this is Patrick.
Go ahead.
So in the department there, you have one person who is exempt, who's not in the union. That's the
Okay,
chief.
got it.
No lieutenant who is not in the union that can step up and take and do his duties on an interim, even on an interim basis. They would have to leave the union. You can understand
I understand. I
why
know what
a
you're
lot of
saying.
people wouldn't want to do that. So in talking with Chief Bacon after last week or last meeting that we had discussing this, just to make sure that we were, still on the same page. There, I may have misinterpreted, what I heard, but he reiterates that he believes this position is absolutely necessary. He's the only person there. That does, the grants. He does, the budget, does everything. He's been asking for this for 3 years. We're finally in a position I feel that we can make it work. As a result, this position would back him up. It'd be the only one that we would have. The intent would be that when he's, going to retire and, he's in that range. And as he told us that, he may have, certain, medical considerations that may have him out from time to time, and somebody needs to be able to be in there and run it. It's something that we all face as we get older.
So
Not saying
quick
that there's
question.
anything wrong with him.
So let's say this battalion job's put in place. We're paying this guy or a lady a salary. Now they're ready to take over Bacon's job. Does then Bacon's salary goes away and this person then steps into the chief position?
Yep, and then we look for someone to fill that position.
Okay, so that's just adding a separate position so you have someone in the lineup, batter up.
That's correct.
Okay, I think I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Patrick, anything else? Anyone else
Yes,
have?
sir.
Okay. All right, moving on. Item 4D. This is the self-insured health insurance program. Patrick, do you want to
Yeah.
touch on this real quick?
Well, I'm going to touch on it. It ain't going to be real quick.
No, I figured as much.
This is complicated.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just say that, starting back in August, we tasked renewal work for the health insurance to begin with our broker advisor. We, at the same time that we got that process started, and for them, that meant accessing our current provider, getting claims information, getting things pulled together so that they could be in a position to get additional quotations and that kind of thing. We also met with a representative from each of the collective bargaining units to talk about the health insurance. What is it that they felt perhaps may have been lacking? I'm not sure this approach has ever been done in the past, as far as I could tell. And we felt that it was important that if there were items that we could address that would improve the program without inflating the cost, that should be something that we look at to try to make sure that we provide a healthcare plan that fits the employee's current concern. So that was an ongoing process that we did. Eventually, from those discussions, there was talk of, well, could we get access to a broader network? Could we get access to the Cleveland Clinic system, the University Hospital system? There were questions concerning a rated tier structure. As you know, we presently have 2 tiers. You're either single and you pay a rate for that, or you're family and you pay a rate for that. And, you know, in other programs and other places, it's very common to break the family component into different components. For instance, you know, maybe it's employee and spouse. Maybe it's employee, no spouse, but children. Or maybe it's family and it's the whole package, wife, kids, husband, whatever it is. We wanted to see what that was, because there were questions about, you know, look, it's just myself and my wife. Why do I have to pay the premium for like having a whole family? I should have something a little bit less. So it's like, these were good things. We talked about vision care that under the current plan, it seemed to be just kind of coverage every 2 years, just traditional. Was there anything else out there that was better? So we sent out the broker, which is the Fidelity Group, and they're on the call with us tonight in case I get out in the weeds here and forget to come back in, or if there's questions that need more expertise. So we sent out for quotes. That is what they did. And they shopped, you know, a number of different markets out there that deal with municipalities. And in the end, we learned a great deal. First, we learned that there's not a lot of entities interested in quoting our insurance. And that really comes down to 2 principal reasons. One is that our group size is so small. We're less than 100 employees in our group. And even if we had 104 or 110, that still makes it iffy for quoting in the small group market. So that is a challenge to us. The second one, where you might get somebody to do it, even if it was a small group, is on plan design. So the plan design, you know, is stipulated by collective bargaining, and it talks about, you know, you'll provide this healthcare coverage, and, you know, the deductible is to be $500. The co-pays are to be $25. The co-insurance is to be a 90-10 split. That's what we call plan design. And that is something that, unless we have changes to collective bargaining, we are stuck within that. And in the dynamic of the ever, you know, changing and evolving health insurance market, you know, that used to be a pretty popular option a decade or so ago. But today, honestly, you know, you don't see 90-10 out there. You see 80-20 and, you know, other variations on that, but pretty much the standard is at 80-20. So because we weren't at that also limited the marketplace. So the outcomes we received, we met the finance director, myself, Catherine Farina, who, you know, is handling, you know, a lot of the HR function, and our broker consultant. We all met, talked about what we were looking at. And from that point, then that was kind of like the initial quote. And then we asked it to be fine-tuned. So we were like, well, you know, maybe you need to sharpen your pencil here. What if we looked at this change as far as the city's concerned with a stop loss limit? And we'll get into that in a second. But maybe if we increased our stop loss limit, what would that do to the premium? How much would it change? Would it make sense to do that? So Gina and you know, was very instrumental in helping us, you know, crunch these numbers and figure it all out, that we could come to some sort of an agreement. And then we asked all that to be, you know, re-looked at, and for the 2 companies, that bid on this for them to give us their final and best number. So we ended up in the stop loss limit. We've increased it from 50,000 per employee to 60,000. What does that mean? That means that, you know, the first 50,000 or now the first $60,000 of claims, we are going to pay first. That's kind of like our deductible. That's upfront before anything gets kicked down to the insurance company down the road. That gives us a lower premium that helped in that respect. We also were concerned that the insurance policies that we had did not have a general aggregate limit. This is important. So after the stop loss limit, there should be, you know, an insurance policy that comes into play and pays, you know, something towards the next dollars beyond that. And whatever that amount is, it can vary from policy to policy, depending on what you're looking for. But once you reach that limit that you've agreed to pay beyond the stop loss, what you would like is that there be a limit, that the city's done paying, and then anything beyond that is borne by the insurance company. We don't have that, and that was important to fix that. And it's not a very expensive fix, but it's an important fix, particularly now that we see the trend in healthcare isn't so much the cost coming from having that heart bypass or getting a stent put in. Those costs, gosh, you hear about people getting all these things done and they're in and out of the hospital under normal circumstances in a day or two. And the costs for those procedures have come way down. Just a second. There we go. The costs for those things have come way down. Where we're finding negative experience, not yet with the city, but that is already being experienced by other municipalities around us, has to do with the advances that have been made in prescription drugs. So it's not just the normal prescription drug like Crestor for your cholesterol. It's a biotech company partnering with a pharmaceutical company to come up with a new drug that deals with a niche condition, or something that is not as prevalent as cholesterol, things that are more fine-tuned. And what we saw, and we've been seeing and addressed by other communities, is that it's not uncommon that a prescription drug that treats a niche thing that could be even classified in the breaking or experimental phase, is $1,000 a pill, and then you have to take the pill twice a day. There are communities in Northeast Ohio that are looking at prescription drug costs for a single employee of close to $900,000 a year just for the drug. So all of that plays into our self-insured stop loss limit, that's 60,000, and then the amount that comes after that. And we would like protection on the amount that comes beyond that. We need to put a limit on how much risk the city is exposed to. So that was addressed in all of these proposals. So the two proposals came in: the renewal from AltCare, and then a program from Medical Mutual of Ohio, MMO. And in both instances, what we were expecting to fund for, that we're expecting claims in the new policy period to exceed $2 million. And so we have to fund that. And that's where everybody pays premiums. The employees pay premiums based on, single family, et cetera. And we have to collect enough premiums to self-fund this. So, how much is covered by a plan is an important distinction here. So if there's a greater network discount, that certainly benefits the employee, and it benefits the city with a lower amount that we have to fund for. And as our employees age and as they develop more problems, the expectation of the claims is increased over time. And every time that increases, when we deal with this a year from now, if our claims exceeded the 2 million and went to a higher number, then we're going to likely experience another premium increase down the road. So having said that, no matter what scenario we look at with the alt care renewal or with medical mutual, the rates are going up. Just put that out right now. There's no way to avoid the rates going up. But when you compare the rates between the two options, either alt care or MMO, the rates are very close to each other. In fact, no matter how you break it out, if you go the 4 tiers, as I suggested, the single employee child, employee spouse, or family, they are pennies apart. I think the highest was like about 90 cents a pay difference between the two different plans on that. So with that though, and I'll get to the rate in just a minute, but just to say with the MMO option, medical mutual, we are able to get a broader network. We're able to still utilize alt care. So for those that prefer to go there and can go there, can still go there. There'll be no change there. But we would get access to the Cleveland Clinic health system, and we would experience true in-network discounts from the clinic as being part of an in-network. We also were able to improve the vision coverage, improve the dental. We were able to increase the life insurance. We were able to get a $0 copay on specialty drugs, but the healthcare design is unchanged. The deductible, the copay, the co-insurance, can't change it. Part of collective bargaining, that still remains the same. So if we look at the rates then, as an example, and keep in mind that presently, approximately 89% of the premiums are paid by the city, 11% by the employee, so you get an idea. For a single, the alt care renewal was $37.79 per pay per single employee. Under the medical mutual, where we have these additional coverages, it's $38.09, approximately 30 cents a pay difference. So certainly well worth the value. If we go all the way up to family, it's with the alt care, it's $113.37 versus the MMO is $114.27, so about 90 cents a pay different. So that's with the two renewals, or the renewal and then this new other quote. Those are the two that we're looking at. Now the renewal is, we have to say, is vastly more than the policy that just expired from a year ago, those rates. So employees and the city will be paying more per pay as a result. So in comparison, under the old single rate, it was a year ago, $25.69 per person per pay. Through the claims experience that we just had in the last 12 months, the renewal came in at $37.79, and we were able to get an alternate quote for $38.09, which we believe provides a better coverage. On the family rate, and mind you, again, currently, we have one rate for families. It's family. And as that breaks out, there are approximately 74 that fit in that category. 17 in the single that I just mentioned. But interestingly, of the 74 that are in the family, if you did break it out to the 4-tier program, there would be 11 that qualify for employee and children. There would be 22 that qualify for employee and spouse. And then that would reduce the number in the family portion down to 41. So for the family portion, the true family, not the employee, children, employee, spouse, they had a rate of $66.80 a year ago, but that new rate is either $113.37 or $114.27. And you see a lot of questions that we had was, hey, it's just me and my wife, can I be on something other than the family rate? Me and the children, can we be on something other than the family rate? Well, in the past that might not have been as necessary, but with the claims experience that we've had and that we look to be having for next year, they've analyzed, some of the employees that have, some important health care concerns going forward. This is where we may see more interest in having that broke down in that respect. It's still a great value, a tremendous value that the city of North Canton provides its employees with 89% of that cost being covered by the city. We do not presently have a spousal carve out if there's employee insurance, if there's coverage elsewhere for that spousal employee. So those are things that we all need to keep in perspective. No one likes to have higher premiums. We get that. And to the extent that, as talking with Gina and her experience with, where she comes from, we would love to transition towards a fully insured plan where we get out of these stop losses and these high aggregate limits to try to help us a little better. But, it's baby steps. So we think we've made two important changes here. One is a discovery concerning the aggregate limit, and the other is being able to get access to a increased network. So that's it overall. I know I said a lot, and our consultant is available on the phone, Kim Sticka. Gina, throw it to you as well, or Catherine, whoever's on the phone, if there's anything else you want to add, or if there's just questions that you have now, or maybe I've talked too much.
Anyone else have a question, comment?
Yeah, Patrick, this is Daryl. I think I hear two, maybe three things. The first is we identified a previously existing and potentially dangerous liability, which we've closed up. Correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Number two is you have consulted with our employees and the consultant, and we believe we've got, in an expensive world, the most economical approach available to us. Correct?
That is correct. Daryl, this is Catherine. Also, just to note that there are no changes to the plan design according to our collective bargaining agreements.
Right.
We cannot change that. So we do have a very rich plan with a low deductible and a 90/10 co-insurance. And so,
yeah, I mean, this is the reality we're living in. But the important thing is we've had a good, thorough review internally and externally. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
If I can add, the prior broker we had, we reached out to who is on the call, Kim Sticka from Fidelity, is the new broker, because the prior broker we had, we weren't sure if we were getting all the services we need, and having background with insurance and benefits, it wasn't in our area of administration so much. So I kind of sat back, but I kind of watched what this broker was providing, service level, as well as overall, guidance, professional consultation over our plan. And I think that, Patrick made a great decision when he decided to, switch that broker to Fidelity. And Kim is on the call, and she might want to speak to what they found, when they looked at it, just from how you said your professional, experience when you saw that we didn't have the, the aggregate stop loss.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. I can talk a little bit about it. Thank you all for having me here tonight. But when we start working with a new city, one of the things we do is really dig into a discovery process of going through benefits, combing through everything, making sure that we understand what you have and what your employees have, but also to make sure that there aren't any gaps in coverage out there. And when we stumbled onto the fact that there was no aggregate coverage, big red flags came up, because you really kind of are leaving yourselves out there to have a very, very large cost in the future if you have, like Patrick said, one of these specialty drugs that, could be catastrophic to a budget. It's unfortunate that that's where we are today, in the industry where, prescription drugs are out of control, the cost of these prescription drugs. But, from the human side of things, if your members are on it, they need it. There's no other choice. And, we want to make sure that the plan, that you have for your employees and is the best plan possible, but also to make sure that you as an employer and as a city, that you're covered and you're protected. And being able to find the aggregate loophole there was important, and I'm glad we found it and we're able to close that up for everybody.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. It's Dominic. So
Yeah.
With the prescription, like that pill that you were talking about, and the $1,000 pill, which I've heard a lot about these things, isn't there a new rule now where they can actually get the lower price anywhere outside or inside the country? Does that apply for the Fidelity plan?
Well, this isn't the Fidelity plan. It's the Medical Mutual of Ohio plan.
Okay.
The name of the broker is Danny
Oh,
Fidelity,
Fidelity.
Fidelity Associates,
So
not
they help-
Fidelity. Yeah.
They help to shop the program. I just was wondering, like on this prescription, I'm hearing a lot about the pricing, that they're going to go outside to find the best pricing, like Canada or wherever. Is that in play right now with the medical industry?
We do see some people still go out of the country to get medication. It's definitely factual that you could go to Canada and get a lot of these prescription drugs cheaper. But, we're in a situation now where there's no government controls on the pharmaceutical companies. So they can release these new drugs at these extraordinary dollar amounts, and there's nothing built into where they can put a cap on it, so that way it's affordable for members. To Patrick's point earlier, I have another city that has $1 million drug on their plan. And, it's unfortunate, but, until the government can do something about the pharmaceutical companies, we are unfortunately stuck with, having to pay these prices, and there's no other option for us unless you go out of the country.
Yeah, I just was thinking it's just a shame that in these tight situations, they can't make exceptions and get a little better pricing.
And
Absolutely. And what? Go ahead.
Kim, doesn't that really go into the pharmacy benefit manager role? Explain to, I guess, for everybody, if how's that working? So, it's not the city of North Canton that's looking to find out what the price of the drugs are. It's somebody that's administering this pharmacy benefit. And
correct.
To the extent that they're able to get the drugs at a lower cost, that does benefit us. If they can.
It does, but when you're talking about these high dollar drugs, if you're going to go out of the country, that's where you lose your pharmacy coverage there, because you're better off paying the cost out of the country than you would, here in the country. Now, when you're talking about brand name drugs, or you're talking generic drugs, you will find pricing disparities throughout the Walgreens, the drug marts, the CVS's. There's tools out there, and some of you may have heard of GoodRx as a tool where you can go on and you enter the drug name and then you enter the dosage. And it will look for drugstores within a 10-mile radius of where you're at, and it'll show you the different costs of drugs for that same drug at 3 different locations. So that is still out there. And, some of these drugstores do have, different agreements with the drug companies. So that's why you can see different cost drugs when you're looking at a Walgreens versus CVS. That is still an option out there. And we do see more and more members utilizing that type of, internet program to shop the drugs, see if there's a lower cost place to go get that drug.
Thank you, Kim.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Anyone else have any questions for Kim or Pat?
I have a quick question, kind of generically speaking. What do we need to do to eventually migrate over to a fully insured plan?
Well, there are a number of things that we have to do, and it'll take potentially a couple cycles. I think one of the first issues that we've tried to address or trying to address is, what happens when you leave a carrier to go to another carrier? For instance, what if there's, how it is in insurance, you go to the doctor in, November and you get care, and then eventually the insurance company's billed, and eventually you find out about it like in May.
Right.
What happens? So there's this lag time. And we have to make sure that we have a plan in place that deals with that lag time and making sure that we're able to pick that up. Kim, would you like to add into that?
Yes, I can. So, right now, the way the city is, the policy is set up is claims incurred over the past 12 months will be paid over the next 12 months. But when you're looking to make a change, or you're making a change in carriers, like Patrick said, you have that period of time where claims may not necessarily be submitted to the insurance company. So how we have it set up right now, and to Patrick's point, it's going to take a couple cycles for us to get there, but right now we're taking that first step, and the first step is the contract that we are looking at. It allows the plan to look back 6 months. So any claims incurred 6 months prior to December 1st will be covered under the new contract. So it allows for the physicians to submit those claims, 2 months later from the visit, and they're still covered under the insurance company, and you're still getting the discount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
Okay, great.
Okay. Everyone else okay? All right, Kim, Pat, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll be motioning to put that on the agenda following this one under emergency. Correct, Patrick?
That is correct. We have to get open enrollment moving. So we need that quickly.
Okay. Very good. Okay, thank you so much. Moving on, next up is ordinance rules claims. Chairman Stroya.
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is to decodify. We've discussed this a couple times in the past. I don't know how much you want to go through this again. If we want to go by section, maybe start with the officers of council, rules 1 through 6, if there's any questions on that.
Didn't we go over it line by line last time?
We did. Ben, what changed on this one compared to the last? I don't think anything under the first section did. Looking at the second, looking back at my notes here. I don't think anything in the second section.
We didn't change much in the rules. What we had ended our discussion on was in B, the companion ordinance, how does council want to structure its calendar?
And that's in the second, okay, yeah.
So
And that's the
here are
second section.
full changes. Here are rules. I didn't make the changes to the draft, and I apologize for that, or at least I don't believe so. I might have. We modified Rule 17 to more specifically list the president of council will select a chair, a vice chair for each committee, and the rest of the 5 members of council will constitute the committee. We cut old Rule 24, which would have let legislation be placed on an agenda without a vote in committee. We added a special presentations option to the council agenda.
In that one, you guys, that was if, just to differentiate the recognition of visitors section for somebody that was normally speaking versus somebody that we have coming into a presentation.
Right.
Speaking for more than 5 minutes.
And then finally, how the rules got amended. You guys just asked me to make some clearer language that was easier to read, describing how it's motion at meeting 1 and then vote at meeting 2. And that would be Rule 31, sorry.
Well, okay. All right, good. I'm in a meeting.
Is everybody good with this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Part 5A. All right. I mentioned that. Is this now? Hold on 1 second. Let me read one more thing here. Then is this on emergency? Is this the one that we need before the decodification would come in and we would pay extra money? Is that why
Yeah.
this? No. That's the next
That
one, right?
was Ordinance 50 earlier this year. This is on emergency just so it takes effect on December 1st with the new session of council. So these new rules would take effect with
Yeah.
the new session.
Okay,
And
I'm
since
good
we
with that.
don't have 3 readings left anymore, we added the emergency clause.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Is everybody okay with this?
Yep, I'm good.
All right.
Okay, and that. Is that it for you then, Matt?
That is.
Well,
Okay.
B is
B.
where
gonna-
we
yeah, we're
needed
gonna
to
have a
solidify a calendar.
Yeah.
Well, Daryl, you talked to that the last time we discussed this. That we were going to stay with the second and
Yeah.
fourth.
Second and fourth. Yeah, I thought what we
Per
might
council.
do, if my memory serves me correct, what I thought we would do, we were trying to move away from this notion of what constitutes a special meeting.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I think there were 2 points that I attempted, and probably not with great clarity, to make. The first is the council can meet as a whole anytime it chooses. That is not a special meeting. It's a committee meeting.
Right.
If the council establishes a calendar for its regular meetings, of which it must do the second and the fourth, but if there are other regular meetings established by the calendar, then those are not special. It's an established meeting. If we have to go to a meeting that is not on the calendar, then that constitutes a special meeting and then requires the approval of certain members of council to do that. So again, it was to try to bring some clarity to what we're doing in terms of our meetings.
Okay, so
And that way, you don't have to worry about all the paperwork to chase stuff.
correct.
Particularly on the committee of the wholes.
So if I'm reading this right, Matt, the goal is to set the calendar so we don't have these special meetings. If we feel that we don't need these meetings, we can always cancel them, but as long as they're on the calendar, they're
Correct.
scheduled.
Yeah. So it's to get rid of all the things that we call special meetings, which we probably don't need to. And then two, it's to give us some structure instead of setting the schedule at the end of the month.
Matt, if I may, Matt.
Before. Yeah, go ahead.
The majority of time we schedule special meetings are things that actually come up. It's not like we schedule these things, is it? I mean, these are things that seem to just come up that we need to do to run this community the right way. So I don't know. Are we setting scheduled times for special meetings? I don't know if we've ever really
No, we're
done
not.
that. No.
We're not doing that. We're just setting a calendar. For example, we set a calendar where every second and fourth month or fourth week of the month is a regular council meeting, and every other Monday is a committee meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have that set calendar. Now, you can add a council meeting if you needed a third council meeting for whatever particular month, for whatever particular issue that may arise. You can do that. We still have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And it would just be a regular meeting. It wouldn't be a special meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, Mark,
It's just semantics, Mark.
I would anticipate that we're going to have unanticipated special regular council meetings where we conduct business, special council meeting.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
we should be able to conduct a committee meeting on any day at any time without calling it special and following the procedure to do that. The paperwork
I agree.
procedure. This really kind of frees up that function. But I would anticipate we're still going to have special meetings.
Well, absolutely.
Probably.
We're going to have them.
If I may insert on behalf of those of us who submit items to you for consideration, we need regular committees because right now we have a submit to committee system. So knowing when a committee is coming up lets us plan how much time do we have to get this done before we can submit it.
Right.
If we don't have regular committees, then that makes scheduling things more difficult for Patrick, Gina, and I. And if they disagree, they're welcome to jump in and shoot me down here. So if the desire of council is to have much more flexible committees, then as I detailed in the report I submitted to you, a submit to council instead of submit to committee system might be more beneficial.
No, Ben, here's what I envisioned. For example, we've got a regular council meeting scheduled for the fourth Monday of the month. The administration says, hey, I've got this item. I need a committee meeting beforehand. I don't want to have to make that committee meeting beforehand a special meeting. We can meet as a committee. All we're going to do is discuss something. And then you could flip it over to the agenda for the regular council meeting if you so desire. Again, I regard this as simply a convenience for getting to meeting as a committee and trying to avoid some of the confusion about what constitutes a special council meeting. Theoretically, if you don't follow the paperwork and the rules on a special meeting for any reason, you've invalidated the ordinances you've approved.
That's right.
So, again, we want to have regular council meetings scheduled by calendar. If we have to do a special, to Mark's point, we'll just do it, obviously.
Right.
But let's
Yep.
not risk a paperwork follow-up, not that we'd ever have any, of course. You know, let's clean things up a little bit. That's all. So do whatever. Just avoid a foul-up.
Yeah.
Are we good with second and fourth? Does that make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, keep it there.
Okay.
Okay. So second and fourth councils, committees as called by the chairman, by the president.
I would chair. Or both.
Both.
Okay.
I think both would be good. Yeah.
All right. I will draft new language to that effect.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, Daryl, the mayor has the ability to call.
He does.
Yeah.
The mayor has the ability to call council, not committee.
Oh, correct. Yes.
That's okay. But again, there's absolutely nothing that would prevent you from, even at a regular council meeting, from introducing a piece of legislation, the mayor introducing a piece, council considers it in discussion, waives the rule, and adopts it.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, but Daryl, we'd want to have public speaks available on that. So.
Oh, absolutely. But let's say you've got an emergency.
Well, yeah, like a act of God emergency, sure.
Yeah, an act of God emergency, you know. I don't anticipate the mayor doing that, and I wouldn't anticipate that the council would want to conduct its business that way.
Right.
To that very point, you know, it's act in haste, repent at your leisure.
They're very, very well said.
I'm going to remember that line.
I think it's biblical. I mean, maybe.
Definitely.
I don't know. But again, you know, the whole idea is just, again, to avoid a paperwork foul up. You don't have to worry about a paper trail.
Yeah, this definitely clarifies it.
Yeah, we'll just continue to do what we're, you know.
Okay, good discussion, guys.
Yeah.
Anything else on this you guys have any comments on?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, let's move that forward.
Okay.
Alrighty. All right, Matt, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, last item on the committee agenda, Community Economic Development, Chairman Revolt. The floor is
Thank you
yours.
very much. You have a draft of a piece of legislation in your packet. It's on page 78. This is the action that supports a discussion that we had in our executive session. The CIC is on the cusp of acquiring a piece of property. We are going to ask the city to guarantee that obligation. And given the nature of it, this is as far as the conversation. I'm prepared to take this conversation.
Yep.
But I would like to have it on the agenda following. We will need an emergency clause. Ben, I think you've drafted something, correct?
Yes. It's on the
Okay,
screen
here
now
it
for
is.
you.
Okay, if you would scroll up to the very top, you've attached a number to this, correct?
Assuming this passes committee right now, it will become 71-2020.
Okay. And if you scroll down, Ben, you will see that Ben has inserted an emergency clause in this. And so we'll have to amend the agenda at the following meeting and place this on the agenda for council's action. Patrick, have I covered the waterfront?
Yes, sir, you have.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I'm finished.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that concludes our committee meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Full seconds.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Our motion carries. We are adjourned. Now, at this time, I'd like to call to order the North Canton City regular council meeting, November 9th, 2020. Time is 7:55 p.m. Mark, Dominic, someone want to lead us in prayer?
Be glad to. Lord, thank you for this wonderful community and the honor to represent the people. Help us in life. Help us to do the right thing, make the right decisions, take the correct path, to watch over our community. Help us to encourage the young, teach us how to assist the needy, and help us to understand the needs of the retired and the elderly. Help us to think positive so we can get through the negative times. And thank you for keeping our community safe and healthy. In God's name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. All right, this time, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
States of
of the
America,
United States of America,
to the republic for which it
which
stands,
is
one nation,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. All right, thank you. Ben, at this time, will you please call the roll?
Member Peters,
Here.
Member Revolt,
Here.
Member Stroya,
Here.
Member Soretta,
Here.
Member Foltz,
Here.
Member Fonte,
Here.
and Member Warren.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you, sir. All right, for your consideration tonight, need a motion and a second to approve as presented. Minutes from October 19th, 2020 City Council meeting, and minutes from October 19th to 2020 Committee of the Whole.
So moved, Warren. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, at this time, recognition of visitors. Ben, I believe we have a few participants tonight. At this point, I'll turn it over to you. Just a quick reminder that we have a 5-minute time limit. And Ben, turn it over to you.
All right. Our first visitor this evening is Mr. Mulqueen. Mr. Mulqueen, are you still on the line?
Maybe he's on mute.
He is on mute at the moment.
Yeah.
Mr. Mulqueen, are you
Hello?
there?
Hello? Yep.
Joe, you're off mute. Go ahead.
All right, I'd like to start this speech up by thanking Chuck the Elder, who has the most wisdom that I urge council to listen to as he spoke last month, as I took the time off just to see if anybody else participates in these meetings, and I'm glad Chuck did, and he kind of grilled you guys out, letting you guys know that we're not going to allocate 10 grand of taxpayer money to a new drinking district as any extra tax revenue. We should allocate it to the children first, and we should use that extra 10 grand to renovate Dogwood Park, since you guys have failed to renovate that park in the last 18 years. And it's amazing that you college educated folks failed to do the grant research that I have done, and I've emailed to you guys, and you guys have failed to respond and fill out these grant applications from companies such as Lego that would improve the park. And we all know a lot of parks are built with grant money. So, you know, for Daryl Revolt to email me back that it isn't wise to renovate Dogwood. What isn't wise is Daryl Revolt, Mark Soretta, and the rest of the council members that have failed us citizens for the past 18 years. And, you know, I'm here to not put up with the crap anymore. You guys want to increase tax revenue? All right. You know, guys have failed to set up medical cannabis dispensaries that Canton Township has done. Why have they done that? Because they know that medical cannabis will be the next cash crop of America. So hopefully you guys can pull your butts out of your rear ends and figure out, you know, you get 2 dispensaries in this town competing against one another to make a nice firm price for the consumer, and it helps increase competition, as we all know. So, you know, it's kind of amazing that a 28-year-old disabled kid has to inform college-educated people on a proper business plan that would, you know, increase jobs in this town and would get North Canton back to the prosperous times that it once had when it had the Hoover Company. employing lots of citizens of North Canton, creating good paying jobs and a great economy that follows with that. So, you know, it's about time that we the people vote you guys out and we get in a new administration, because the Held administration failed us, and there's nothing notable that the current mayor did when he was chief of police. He didn't bust any human trafficking rings. He didn't bust any drug cartel rings. All he did was sit on his butt and do a couple minor things of paperwork. So I'm not here to lick any boots. I'm here to let you guys know you work for us, we the people. And you guys fail to do your jobs, like when we the people fail to do our jobs, you know, you get fired. So, you know, simply to say, you know, it's about time we get some new people working for the people, because you guys have failed us for the past 18 years. And I don't know why. It's like pulling teeth to give kids a new park. All I'm trying to do right now is work humbly, fix up this park. I don't want any fame or fortune by fixing up this park. I just humbly want to fix it up because there's people who believed in that park at one time and gave me a brand new skate park. And all I'm trying to do as I get older is give my neighbors' kids and their friends a brand new skate park so they can have an awesome childhood like, you know, the people who worked on building the current one. But I think it's ridiculous that the city went into building this park without any plans of renovations for the first 5 years it was open. So, you know, when people come together to build a park, they erect the park, and then they also have a plan in place for the next 5 years, how we're going to, you know, get funds for renovations and everything like that. And you guys have failed to do so. So, you know, it's time you guys, you know, you guys are fit to work any other job in this country, but, you know, you guys aren't milking any more taxpayer money from us citizens, because career politicians like you and Nancy Pelosi are the plague that, you know, ruins, you know, it's just time for no more career politicians. Plain and simple. Lost my breath during my little thing, but you guys are sitting here for an hour. I get ready. I'm on time for my city council meeting, and then you guys want to yap over an hour over because you guys want to talk about increasing salaries. How about you guys work for free? How about you guys work pro bono? You know, our President Trump donated his whole salary to show how successful of a business person he was. So Dominic Fonte, if you're truly a successful real estate agent, why don't you donate your city council salary to something in the town, you know? Show me, you know, why don't you show the people how successful of a real estate agent you are and how you don't need the taxpayer money. But I doubt you'll do that because, you know, you guys have proven to me
All right.
the
Thank
past
you,
18
Joe.
years how great you guys are, how
This-
selfish you guys are.
Mr. President,
You're
Mr.
fine.
President?
Yes, sir.
This is Daryl Revolt. I would ask two things. The first is that the clerk tomorrow place into Mr. Mulqueen's hands Section 11109, Rules of Decorum, Courtesy, and Propriety for City Council Public Speaks. Number two is that Mr. Mulqueen indicate to council before he speaks again that he has read and completely understands the terms and conditions required by our rule. And unless
We can
he
do that.
does indicate that he understands it, that he does not speak again.
Fair enough. All right, Ben, you could please get that to Mr. Mulqueen, either via
Thank you,
email or-
Daryl.
And I want an affirmation that Mr. Mulqueen has read and understands these rules before he's permitted to speak again.
Thank you,
Thank
Daryl. That was what we talked about when we talked about the ordinance changes. Jeff?
Well, I will say this.
He talked about Dominic's trade. No need.
Yeah.
Enough
no,
said.
I agree. I agree.
It needs stopped.
I've been attacked personally by,
Fine. It wasn't you. It was Dominic.
yeah. no,
Not
I agree.
appropriate.
Stop it. It's nonsense. Stop it.
Not
It's not
appropriate.
professional. It's not courteous. It has nothing to do with council.
That is true.
It's professional. It concerns with everything. And if you guys don't want me to
Mr.
speak at any
Mulqueen.
more city
Mr.
council meeting,
Mulqueen, your time has lapsed.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Bud, I have no problem if you guys want to
Ben,
say
can you,
my
Turn 'em
right
off,
to
Ben.
free speech.
Cut him off.
Now it's your time to mute.
Thank you. All right, moving on.
Next up is Mr. Chuck Osborne. Mr. Osborne, are you there?
Is Chuck on mute as well?
He is at the moment, yes. Mr. Osborne, are you able to unmute?
I am here.
Thank you.
When you're ready, sir.
Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. I know you guys didn't complete your conversation regarding tying your rates of compensation to PERS, but you did open the door, so I'd like to speak to this. First of all, I think you guys are going about this all wrong. Given that, I guess PERS has increased the number of years to qualify from the old 10 years to 15 years, I think you need to amend the charter to change your terms from 2 years to 15 years. And if you get that passed, then you can talk about possibly tying your salary to PERS. We've had this conversation before in March of 17. If you were to even go down this path, citizens of North Canton will no longer be able to question the compensation of city council, and citizens and council will be entirely removed from the process. You pulled this during the third reading 3.5 years ago because the Canton Repository ran an editorial highly critical of that step that you were going to take. This legislation makes one big assumption, and that is that North Canton part-time elected officials assume that they will remain in office the minimum 15 years needed to qualify for a pension. That's a pretty arrogant assumption on the part of North Canton's elected officials. And I believe this legislation would violate Section 404 of the city's charter, which states the council shall have the power to fix the compensation of its members and that of the mayor. It does not say General Assembly or OPERS shall have the power to fix compensation of its members and that of the mayor. So I hope we don't hear about this again, because if you don't serve your 15 years, this piece of paper that you want to pass and ratify means nothing. And it clearly shows what you're interested in. You want to collect a free pension for just showing up 2, 3, 4 times a year or a month. And I hope this is the end of that. My second topic, and I've pursued several channels, reaching out, trying to get clarification. Mrs. Warren and I disagree. I've reached out to 3 different individuals to look at a situation regarding recreational vehicles. Only one has given me an answer, and it really wasn't a satisfactory answer. My ward councilwoman simply goes and asks somebody. I would actually hope that everyone on city council has their own zoning code book, and they could answer questions by combing through the zoning code book and coming up with an answer. But anyway, to answer my question regarding how recreational vehicles are handled, I suggest that Mrs. Warren and everybody else up there look at 1133.08 C4. And what that says, parking or storage of recreational vehicles and equipment shall be either stored wholly within a garage or outdoors in compliance with the following regulations. That is, stored outside shall either be parked in the driveway or stored in a supplemental outdoor storage area, which shall be located on the lot in compliance with Schedule 1133.08A, and such supplemental outdoor storage area shall be adequately screened from view from adjacent property. Now, the two examples I have showed you, Mr. Soretta was very kind to immediately come right out and listen to my concerns. And Mrs. Warren, after numerous calls over a period of about 7 months, we've looked at it twice, maybe once, because the first time it didn't exist.
Hey, Chuck.
So I would like to pass that on, that the city follow through and enforce that section of the code. That's all I have. I see my time is up. Thank you very much.
Finally, tonight we have Mr. Larry Tripp. Mr. Tripp, are you there?
Oh,
Mr.
yes.
Tripp? Mr. Tripp, are you there? He's not muted.
No, he's not.
Maybe that was that his dogs that he had to put away.
You can bring him back at the end of the meeting if he comes in.
Mr. Tripp, final call. Oh, he muted himself.
You muted me.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
You muted me, Ben.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to. When you're ready, sir.
Can I start?
Yes.
I understand Mr. Mulqueen now. Yes, I do. Miss Councilwoman Warren, you might want to read the rules of etiquette yourself. September 9th, 2019. I was called. Yes. Larry Tripp, 1127 East Maple, North Canton, Ohio. We read and hear daily of many Americans struggling during these troubled times. We hear of high unemployment resulting in lost wages to many American families, which may be signs of a bleak holiday season for many. Rarely do we hear of a business or company make an announcement they are increasing their workforce by X number of employees or increase salaries unless that company or business has a product or service with close ties to COVID-19. 2 weeks ago, during the 2021 budget discussion, we heard a spirited interchange of conversation, whereas North Canton government had positioned within the budget an increase of 8 new positions at a budget cost of some $460,000 for year 2021 and beyond. In addition, during these troubled times, they have made property purchases of nearly $6,500,000, with the potential of each purchase remaining empty or a vacant lot. However, in due time, these purchases will require payment to the piper. North Canton citizens, don't be surprised of a tax increases are just around the corner. Our 2021 budget discussion comes after the city received a CARES funding of over $1 million. Makes one suspicious what their plans are in regards to care. Will be interesting to review at year end where this $1 million was spent. Then to top it off, North Canton City Council sees fit to increase their salaries to fall in line with OPR's, Ohio Public Employee Retirement System, with an effective date of January 2022. However, this is not a one-time salary increase, as they want this increase this salary increased automatically anytime OPERS raises their qualification. Ladies and gentlemen of North Canton, this is a salary increase for a council that has been labeled as very non-performing and non-productive over the past 7-8 years. Be reminded, there are some members of this council that chose to ignore a North Canton voter mandate a few years ago to eliminate health care for part-time employees. After being caught, they increased their salary by some 50% to compensate for loss of insurance and to qualify for OPERS. This is currently a council who gets paid whether or not they attend meetings, and there is at least one member, perhaps more, that has been excused by other council members for an unacceptable number of absences. Councilman Revolt and Soretta, I believe your votes on this issue will be closely watched, as one of you 2 weeks ago was extremely critical of any new position or salary increases during this crucial period of time. And the other was critical of council's past performance as indicated by some recent emails. Lately, our late past president, John F. Kennedy, offered this famous quote some time ago: "Ask not what this country can do for you, but ask what you can do for this country." I believe by proposing automatic pay increases, council indicates their thinking as, ask not what you can do for your city, but what this city can do for me. Thank you. And again, Councilman Revolt, Mrs. Warren, I think each of you should read the decorum procedures. Again, September 9, 2019, I was called a sexist, and not one of you spoke up. Thank you very much.
Okay.
What a bunch of...
Here we go.
Great. That's enough. Good Lord Almighty. All right. Moving on to old business. May I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 47-20?
So moved.
Both seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 1145 Conditional Use Regulations of the Codified Ordinances, specifically Section 1145.06, Schedule of Minimum Lot and Yard Dimensions for Conditional Uses in Commercial and Industrial Districts, and Section 1145.07, Supplemental Regulations for Certain Uses, as more fully described below.
All right, thank you. Chairman Revolt.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. 47-2020 and 48-2020 relax the outdoor dining requirements as contained in our zoning ordinance. They make it more permissive, more permittable. These recommendations came at the mayor's request. There's document attached that provides an excellent explanation. We've seen it before. This was approved by the Planning Commission. We believe that acting now allows restaurants to prepare for an earlier spring opening should they need to make exterior adjustments to their configuration. And so if there aren't any questions, I would urge the adoption of the second reading of ordinance 47-2020.
Soretta, so moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, may I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 48-20?
Revolt moves.
Both
Where second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 1137 Business Districts of the Codified Ordinances, specifically Section 1137.03 Schedule of Permitted Uses, to remove the words "in completely enclosed building" from the restaurant use under retail/services.
Okay, Daryl just touched on this. If there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adopt. Second reading.
So moved.
Try to second.
Second, Stroy.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, at this time, may I have a motion and a second to amend the agenda to include ordinance 66-20 and 67-20.
So
And
moved.
What about 71-20?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, and 70,
Well, 71 would be under new business.
no, that'll be under new
Okay.
business, Daryl. We're in old business still.
Oh, you're on old business? I'm sorry.
Okay, so just 66 and 67. And I think I
So
heard a
moved.
motion.
You did.
Okay, is there a second?
Revolt moves.
I need a second.
So
Stroy,
second's
second.
fine.
All right. Is that Ben roll call or can I?
This is
Voice
just a
vote.
voice vote.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, at this time, I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 66-20.
Stroy moves.
Where in second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance authorizing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures and related one-time permanent transfers of monies made to various funds for the period beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31st, 2021.
Thank you. Chairwoman Warren.
Great. We talked a lot about this and had a good discussion during the council meeting earlier or during our committee meeting. If there are no other questions, I move to adopt on a first reading.
Well, this is Foltz. I had a question. I have a chance to review it. Have we put any money aside for the Gateway entrance of Portage and then additional sidewalks on Woodrow?
So I don't think we did at this point because when we looked at all the projects, there wasn't any. But when we talked to Pat, he said if there was any extra money, it would be the very first project that would get approved. Or if there were things that didn't get forwarded, the Portage project would be the first one.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Rob also say that he was very
Optimistic?
optimistic that we were going to have some monies?
Yes. And that would be the first project.
What he was hoping for, this is Dom, that with the bids come in under bid and we'll have some excess money there to do some of the sidewalk repair. And then once we get all that done, then we can look at doing some sections where we need them.
Okay, when you say bids, you're talking next year's projects. You're not talking carryover from this year to next year.
I think it was mainly,
Next
if
year.
Rob's on, Rob can chime in if he's on. I don't know if he is, but he was talking about like when we send out our bids, we've been getting really good pricing because he's Johnny on the spot with getting them out quickly.
Yeah.
Rob, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Mr.
Go ahead and help me out here on this one.
Yeah, I think what we're going to try to do, as we've had a lot of success the last few years, is bid things early. For instance, our $350,000 paving program for 2021 that we have in the budget. And I want to get that out on the streets either before Christmas or right after Christmas. So, you get much better prices when contractors are hungry and are looking to fill their schedule for the coming season. You wait and you bid it and you get it out there in September. Well, they know they're going to have a lot of overtime to get it done. They're busy. Some may not bid. So I just want to continue that, get things ready, get them out there and do as much as we can to see some savings. And we really had a lot of success with that here in Tennessee.
Absolutely. I agree, Rob. That was good work.
I would ask this council put 2 line items in for those funds. Not that you have to fund it right now, but I would like to see that added to our ordinance here, 66, 2020. So we are intending on funding those to some degree.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, we've been kicking this can down here. I think you guys are tired of me talking about it.
No,
obviously I could not vote for this, or I could say take this out and let's make something work here. But I want to be,
I'm in agreement with you there, Doug.
Collaborating with everybody here, but we just don't go anywhere. And listen, I'm not throwing this on Rob. We've talked about this, but we have to set some money aside. I want something started next year. even if it's smaller scale. I think I'm being very reasonable about this. You know,
No,
I'm
no,
not
it's
asking for $1
due to
million.
be done.
Yeah,
You know.
especially our sidewalks. The safety value of those aren't going to hold.
There's
very
two,
long.
and I think there's two things that I think they're well merited to pass this. So I would ask the administration, put those line items in. I don't care if we put, $100 in each one of them that we add to it. I just want to see them in there that we know that we're going to increase those values in those line items.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, are you still on the call? What's a one slab cost to replace?
It depends.
Well, can we-
on the economy
I'll tell you
of
what.
scale or whatnot, but you're talking, $250 a slab.
There you go. 250 in each line item.
All right, so let me ask the finance director this. Gina, this is a second reading, so prior to the third reading, can you create those line items that Doug is asking for to be funded by any overflow?
Yes, I certainly can do that. Do you want to? Do we want to fund those out? We'll have to talk about where we're funding those out of. And I can work with Rob on that, where the best place for that would be. It may require an additional transfer if we're funding them out of the capital improvements fund, but either way, yes, we can present those in the amended budget for third reading.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And Rob,
What
if
it-
you're available Wednesday, I want to stop down and talk to you about it.
Yeah,
more-
so we can true up the amounts and make sure we have all the same.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate that.
So
Council administration.
So we'll plan to make a formal amendment at the next reading.
Correct.
Okay, that's all my comments. We can move forward for my vote for second reading.
Okay, were there any other comments? All right, is there a motion and a second to adopt the second reading ordinance 66-20?
Foltz moves.
Troy seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. May I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 67-20?
Troy moves.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance amending Chapter 155 Personnel Regulations of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton, specifically Section 155.04 Compensation, subsections F and G, to adjust the titles and maximum compensation rates of certain public employees.
Okay, we had a pretty extensive conversation regarding this as well as it related to the budget. So if there's no other further comments, may I have a motion and a second to adopt the second reading of ordinance 67-20?
So moved, Waring.
Second Foltz.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Soretta, nay.
All right. One opposed. Soretta? Okay. Moving on. New business. May I have a motion and a second to allow consideration of resolution 9-20, ordinance 69-20, and ordinance 71-20 without a committee report under Council Rule 111.06C.
Troy moves.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, may I have a motion? Wait, where am I at here? Okay, may I have a motion and a second to read by title only resolution 9-20?
Troy moves.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
A resolution declaring one 1994 Pierce Arrow fire engine and 25 Scott 2216 air packs and the associated air bottles no longer needed for municipal purposes, and authorizing the same to be sold via a public auction through govdeals.com and declaring the same to be an emergency.
All right. Thank you, Chairwoman Warren.
We talked about this, and we do it with a lot of different vehicles and different objects that we have in the community. And it will go on the for sale block to give us extra revenue and repurpose old vehicles. And it's on emergency. So if no other questions, I move to adopt.
Hey, one comment, Steph. I read somewhere where the city's not responsible for the commissions or buyer premiums. That falls on the buyer buying at the auction. So the city is not responsible for any of those extra fees.
Oh, I did read that. Yeah, that was good.
So I just want to throw that out there for anybody that cares.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a second to adopt the first reading?
So moved.
Second, Troy.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings for resolution 9-20?
Soretta moves.
Troy moves. Second,
Get
Troy.
that.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, may I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 9-20 under suspension of the rules?
Troy
Soretta
moves.
moves.
I'm trying to save your voice, Mark.
Well, Soretta will second then.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, may I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 69-20?
Troy moves.
Bolt second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton, upon concurrence of council and the board of control, to enter into a contract for administering a self-insured health insurance program for city employees for the period of December 1st, 2020 through November 30th, 2021, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
All right, thank you. Patrick went into great detail along with Amy regarding this. Great work on that, by the way. So there are no further questions. Entertain a motion and a second to adopt the first reading.
Foltz
Troy
moves.
moves.
Bolt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And may I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings?
Troy moves.
Bolt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, motion and a second to adopt ordinance 69-20 under suspension of the rules.
Troy moves.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, may I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 71-20?
Revolt
Troy
moves.
moves.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton, upon approval by the Board of Control, to enter into an agreement guaranteeing the obligations of the North Canton Community Improvement Corporation to Commercial Savings Bank to obtain a commercial mortgage loan in an amount not to exceed $450,000 and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Thank you, Chairman Revolt.
Yes, we discussed this previously. This is going to guarantee a loan which will be carried by the Community Improvement Corporation for the acquisition of property.
All right. May I have a motion and a second to adopt the first reading of ordinance 71-20?
Revolt moves.
Troy seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings?
Revolt moves.
Aaron second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 70-20 under suspension of the rules.
Revolt moves.
Stroy moves.
Where
Stroy
second?
seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, folks, moving on. Department reports. Deputy Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to take a moment to say to all of our council, I know you all want to make the best decisions for this community. And I know that you want to take a very responsible fiscal stance for all taxpayers. And I want to thank you for that. I also just want to note, as a person working daily, managing the operations on the front line, it is amazing how hard the wonderful employees that we have working for the city of North Canton work to keep that level of service to all our residents. I mean, if I invite anyone into my office to see the org charts and the workflows that are on my walls, to look at the lean staff that we work with every day. So I appreciate council recognizing now with that staff that we are taking a more strategic approach with our labor force planning today. We're trying to be more proactive and less reactive in staffing plans, because we all know when we're in reactive mode, bad decisions can be made under duress. So I think someone mentioned earlier that, we provide a service to our residents, and we provide that exceptional service to 7,000 households and 17,000 residents every day with the very lean staff that we have. So, just to put numbers to it, sometimes it amazes me when I look at my wall that serving those 7,000 households every day, we just have 4 full-time employees working in our street department. 4. And they keep the high level of expectation on clean streets. They're sucking up the leaves right now. And when the snow comes down, we all know the great job they do to make sure that snow removal is better than any other area around us. And in the sewer department, we just have 5 full-time employees that make sure that 17,000 flushing toilets operate effectively without backups. And if there is one, they're there clearing it. And during this COVID time, when things were shut down and people were at home, they were working. And when people were buying lots of toilet paper, they were making sure that it was getting through. Working in our water distribution, we only have 9 full-time employees working there, ensuring all the infrastructure underground is delivering uninterrupted water to those 7,000 households. 17,000 residents can turn on the tap water without any issue. And only 10 full-time employees in the water treatment plant, ensuring that water is safe. So it's just amazing to me. And I wanted to put those numbers. I look at these people every day. I know those numbers by name. I know each one of them. I meet with them. Some have worked here for a long time, and their time is going to pass. And then we have the new ones coming up, and they're learning from those great longtime employees that have that institutional knowledge. And we just want to keep the high standards that we know our city residents expect from the city of North Canton. So I just thank you for, considering everything that you've had to, and I know that you have your consideration, for your constituents as well, and all the hard work that we're all doing on both sides, just to, keep this city a city of choice. So that's all I have to say in my report. Thanks.
Well said,
Thank you,
Kathy.
Kat.
Thank you.
All right, Director of Administration.
Just 2 quick notes. Wanted to make sure that the council is aware on our leaf pickup. We're still doing the recycling. We do that through the Saturday before Thanksgiving. So we still got several weeks to go. And our crews are out sweeping the streets. And we have, because the leaves are, really coming down here, we've gone to providing that service 6 days a week. So we're working on Saturdays to keep up with it. And, sometimes it doesn't seem like we are, but with that extra day, it is providing a great relief. We did, through the process of it, look also at the cost outside of the street department if we were to augment that, and the cost was cheaper based on the analysis that we had put together to just have our people do it a 6th day versus contracting that out. So I appreciate your feedback. As you know, Dominic, you're
Yes.
out there. And so we're trying, I think that extra day is making the difference. But so we've been doing that now for 3 weeks, 3 Saturdays, and we're going to continue doing that all the way through the end of this month. So we think we're going to get ahead of it. And then I would also just note at some point, administration will be, asking city council for an executive session to talk about personnel matters. We have collective bargaining underway. Gina, myself, and Catherine are working on the 3 agreements that are in the police department. And we've met with 2 of the units. We meet with the other unit, I believe, next week. And just wanted to let you guys know that process is in place, and those agreements expire at the end of this year. So we've been working on it, and I'll keep you apprised when we have a meeting to go into some of those details. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Patrick. Mr. Mayor, you're up.
Yes, thank you, President Peters. Good evening, everyone. My comments are, I want to thank again, Mr. Diorio for your guidance on many of the issues that are facing the city. And Ms. Farina, thank you for your comments on our workforce. Workforce sustainability, I appreciate the dialogue that the council has had on our budget, and as we not only deal with our short term, but also as we look for the long term for our workforce sustainability. If you haven't been aware, on Friday, November the 6th, 2020, Diebold Nixdorf is moving its headquarters to Hudson, Ohio. They're moving approximately 300 plus jobs to Hudson. However, they're closing their green location, but North Canton is a recipient. They're relocating their production operations from Greensboro, North Carolina to the Hoover District for warehousing and logistics. And they're splitting some of their workforce. And hopefully we're looking at approximately 175, 200, could be 300 additional employees to
Awesome.
Be here in place in North Canton. And so I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that this is a project that Mr. Diorio and I have been in discussions with Diebold Nixdorf since March of this year. And what I have found being in office is in the police department, we're called to make decisions, and we make our decisions fairly rapidly. And but I'm finding in government, there's quite a long process in talking with people and discussing points of view and planning. And so for the last 8 months, we have been on pins and needles trying to see how we could bring a corporate legacy company worldwide here to North Canton. Unfortunately, we weren't quite the corporate model, I think, or for their main headquarters. But we are fortunate to add another 200 jobs, let's say, to the production or the warehousing and logistics here we have in North Canton. And so I'm very happy for that. I think it's coming at a great time as we are dealing with so many other issues in our society. But I think that's not only good for North Canton, but it's also good for our community of Stark County, because with those jobs comes housing and workforce and other things that will come with a legacy company such as Diebold. Now, that plays into one of my priorities, and that is to bring jobs and growth and economic and community growth to our city. Jobs are necessary to drive that shared and economic growth. So it took us a while, but that's only one piece of the puzzle that we've been working on. We still have aspirations and good talks going forward with other properties that we've acquired. And in Mr. Tripp's comments, I understand that some people may not realize, or the goal of land banking is really a practice of aggregating parcels of land for future sale or development, which we can manage and repurpose. The Hoover building is privately owned. I know we've been struggling for many, many years, and I've been struggling all this year with getting things going over there with communications with the owners. So what we're trying to do is have a little bit more control over the destiny of the properties that are coming available here in North Canton. And I think if you'll be patient, you will see over time the development that we've been trying to bring, the economic and community development with the land acquisitions that we're making. And you may not see it right now, but patience is a virtue. And I'm very hopeful that the purchases we've been making will be beneficial to the city in the long run. And Mr. Peters, my final comment is this. This was a very tough decision for me to make this year, among many of the others that I've had to do for the city, whether it's closures or opening things up. And this is regards to Veterans Day. And due to COVID-19 guidelines and restrictions on large gatherings, I made the decision not to allow the traditional assemblage of a large gathering of veterans, families, friends, and public at Bitzer Park to recognize Veterans Day. I hope you all will understand the health, safety, and well-being for all who would attend is paramount. And I've suggested to many people that I've talked to and other readers of articles that I've shared and my comments on my Wednesday updates that I suggest people to offer a veteran some type of way of appreciation for their service. And we have 3 beautiful military service memorials here in North Canton which anyone might want to visit on that special day of this Wednesday, November the 11th. We have our Veterans Memorial at Bitzer Park on the square. Of course, the Gold Star Families Memorial Monument at Price Park on the Glenwood Southwest entrance, and also the Blue Star Mothers of America Memorial at Price Park, also from the Glenwood Street Southwest entrance. If you have time, I was honored to be the opening, make the opening remarks for the North Canton Middle School, who I've worked as when I was police chief. We did many presentations there at Bitzer Park, and those students are challenged each year to talk about Veterans Day and what it might mean to them, and patriotism, and things that go along with our government and our military. And if you want to go to the North Canton City Schools, their website, you should be able to see a very nice video put together by Mr. Wilson at the Hoover High School Media Center, and with several students and 2 or 3, I think 3 teachers there who are veterans at the North Canton Middle School. And I was honored to give the opening comments. And I suggest to everyone that if you really want to see something that's that has a, I don't know, kind of hits to the heart, I think, you might want to look at those and view that video. So there again, I want to just thank you for your time and council's patience as we're coming to a close of our year. There's been a lot of work going in, and I do appreciate your support. I understand the dialogue that takes place, and that's necessary for us to make sure that we collaborate, communicate, and so that we can go forward in trying to make North Canton a better place. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, next up, Director of Finance, Gina.
Thank you. Stemming off of the mayor's final comments of collaboration and communication, we are still working on the stories and developing and building the monthly reports in OpenGov. We're reformatting those so that we can align those to the appropriation ordinance, and that way we can monitor those through the years or through the months of next year. While at the same time, I know we're still preparing for 2020 year end. So we'll be truing up this year's budget, which will define our carryover, and getting ready for payroll year end, W-2s, and those sorts of things as well. And as Patrick mentioned, we are in the middle of negotiations. So you'll be hearing more about that as we progress through those also. So if you need anything else before third reading of the budget, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll see what I can get you as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you, Gina. All right, Engineer Graham.
Thank you, Mr. President. You may have noticed back on Halloween, we had opened the East Maple Street Bridge, ending that 45-day detour that we had. And this past Friday, we completed and opened all 4 legs of the Washington Square signalized intersection. We've got the decorative treatment in the middle. It turned out very nice. The contractor out there with this weather is getting a lot done. If you get a chance, since there's no detour, to maybe drive that corridor and you really see it kind of coming together. Switch over to our big East Hill project. Thankfully, the weather finally worked in our favor after 3 weeks of rain. And last Thursday, we got the base asphalt completed. Last Friday, we got the intermediate asphalt. Today, we did half the manhole adjustments to grade. Tomorrow, we'll do the other half. And we're scheduled for final asphalt Wednesday, but the weather's iffy. That could go to Thursday. So hopefully by the end of the day Thursday, we'll have East Hill fully open. And then we'll switch over to our Pittsburgh Waterline project. We're looking at starting that next Wednesday, November 18th. And we'll be moving traffic on that for all the local traffic, Reed Funeral Home and whatnot. But yeah, still a lot done, a lot to get done yet this year.
Mr. Graham?
Yes, sir.
One question. On that final part for East Hill, does that include the striping too?
Yes, exactly. We have, when the paving is done, we'll put a temporary center line on it so we can open it right away, unless we can get the main stripers there right after paving. But yes, we have to put a center line on it, but if we have to, we'll have a temporary one there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rob.
Yep.
All right, next up, Council Clerk, Ben Young.
I have no report this week.
All right. Okay. Member Foltz.
Thanks, Jeff. Hey, congratulations to the administration, mayor, on the jobs from Diebold. Job well done. I totally agree that we control our own destiny. We've had years of waiting on other people to do things for North Canton. So I applaud our efforts to take more of a proactive role in everything. So thank you for that. And also your comments on Veterans Day. That is a tough call. I know in Canton we had to, that ceremony is not going forward either. And that's tough because that's a special day near and dear to so many people. And to respect our veterans, there's no higher honor we should bestow. So, appreciate your comments on that. And also, I just appreciate all my colleagues. It's not easy sometimes, people don't call us to say what a great job we do. But I'm very thankful to serve with everybody on council and work with everybody in this administration because I think we all have the best interests of North Canton in hand and at heart. And I think we are a very good city to live in. So just want to make sure, I think everybody feels the same way, but I just want to say it for the record. Thank you. Oh, Pat, one quick thing, or can somebody go down? There's the stop sign at Wursler and Portage. Seems to be some kind of a phone line or cable line tied off to the stop sign. Is there anybody that can do some research on that? See if we need to contact the utility company, see what we can do with that.
Yeah, we believe that's a Spectrum. We have talked with them. We'll follow up again.
All right,
thank you for the reminder. Yes.
Okay, appreciate it. That's it, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. And you brought up a good point I'd like to touch on real quick. And this comment is directed towards the mayor. Mayor, this council supports you 100% in your land banking efforts. The overwhelming minority that complain about this would be the same ones that complain that nothing's happening at the Hoover district as well. And that, I think what you're doing is trying to avoid that scenario once again. So we do support 100% and applaud your efforts on that. And I would be remiss as well as it relates to public speaks. You know, maybe I've grown used to the personal attacks and numb to it, and I don't listen to it anymore. But I do want to apologize to Member Fonte for allowing that to go forward. You do not deserve that. You are a fine man and a fine representative. So I think Mr. Mulqueen was way out of line. It just seems the same old, tired people making the same old, tired complaints. So I guess it just gets, it's kind of background noise for me anymore. But I will in the future make efforts to curb that. All right, moving on. Member Revolt.
Well, thank you. I'm going to divide my comments into two broad sections, but I'm going to apply one noun to both sets of comments that I heard tonight, and that word is balderdash. You can look it up.
I love it.
Let me first of all go to Chuck. The fact of the matter is council is not raising its wages. That's prohibited by law. What council will consider is raising the salary for those individuals who were elected in 2021 and begin their service on December 1, 2, or 3 of 2021. And I find it so interesting that when Mr. Osborne talks about state law, he ignores this pertinent little fact. Indeed, I'm not even sure Chuck understands the charter, because council raising a salary for a future council does not violate the charter. Simple fact. And with all due deference to our good friends at the Canton Repository, I must say that from time to time, its editors over the past number of years have written some very, very strange things. And I'm not sure that I necessarily want to allow the editors of the repository to guide me in our decisions. Now, with regard to Mr. Tripp, the fact of the matter is, when you look back over this council achievements over the last 12 months, 18 months, it's been pretty remarkable. What do we have? We've already referenced it. We have a master plan that was adopted by the community in 2012. With the leadership of Mark, many of the aesthetic elements of that plan have been realized. And now we're beginning to work on the really hard parts of that plan. Amongst those things are land banking. Didn't make the paper, but I can tell you that the administration worked very hard to interest Diebold's corporate in the Kmart property. And what we've seen is 8 months of really hard work have produced with Diebold's warehousing and manufacturing operation coming here from out of state. We've got a CRA in place. We've got a DRD, and we'll eventually have a DORA. Our economic development tool bag is being filled. And that's a very positive thing for this community, active economic development. Mr. Tripp would argue that, well, perhaps nothing is happening at Kmart. Well, I can assure you there's interest up there. And the administration is working very hard to find the best possible deal for the citizens of North Canton. It's going to take time. Just like Diebold did, it took 8 months. This is going to take many months. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of work going on, and council's part of that. We've got a zoning rewrite underway. Our second century for Main Street. It's already been vetted out with some small business people here in town, and it's going to proceed. We've got IT security. You heard tonight, and council considered insurance and the complicated nature of it. That reflects council's willingness to trust the administration to deliver to it a recommendation and resolve a major problem that existed in previous years. We've seen a whole series of zoning amendments that have moved through council that have refined the process, much thanks to Marty, and we've also addressed some uses, which we believe will benefit the businesses of this community. I think we've got Arrowhead, do the administration's leadership and council's trust is moving toward a good year. And we're going to have a much clearer picture of what that operation looks like at year's end. We touched on the council rules tonight. I don't think people truly understand how much time Matt Stroya and our clerks spent working on that and harassing the oldest member of council. But the bottom line is there was a lot of work going on. And so this sort of notion that there's nothing happening is false. It's balderdash. It's not constructive, this criticism. Have a right to say it, but facts are inconvenient things. And I think the facts are on the people who are getting things done in this community for the benefit of the community. And that is the administration, the director of finance, the clerk, and yes, this council. That, Mr. Peters, is my report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Revolt. All right, Member Warren.
All right, thank you. Let's see. Thank you to Kathy for really telling us about the employees. I think that's so important and it's often overlooked. And so that was much appreciated. And thanks to Gina for always answering all my questions for all the stuff we've been doing over the past couple of weeks with finance and really for all the council people that I've talked with and just kind of gone over things. I think these are the best conversations we've had, and I just appreciate everyone's thoughts and opinions on the budget, which is so important. And I think it's evident that we're working together, that we're moving forward, and that we're doing some really different things. And so I appreciate that. In relation to one of the constituents and who we go to for questions and concerns, I think we go to the experts. And in this case, I use the permits department, who I think is doing a fabulous job. Working with Marty Van Gundy has been amazing. He's efficient. He gets back to you. He knows code. They know ordinances, and he trusts his people. So I would recommend that we keep doing that and that we do get the best answers from those people. It's 2020. We have the first Black female vice president, Black Indian American. Today, it was just announced that in the 175th career of the Naval Academy, my daughter's roommate, Sydney Barber, is the first Black American brigade officer. I will continue to fight and demand respect when women, when people of minority, when people of diversity are seen and need to be heard. We have limited diversity on our council. At this point, I'm the only woman. I will continue to make sure that if I hear things or that things don't seem right or people are targeted, I will speak up. We are elected by the people, and if they don't like that, they can see me go. But as a woman in her 50s and in the year 2020, I will not tolerate that kind of behavior from constituents. I owe it to my daughters, who are 22 years old. I owe it to their roommates. who are seeing things the world has never seen. I owe it to my peers at work who are in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s. I owe it to the people that I teach leadership to. I see the best in people and I work with their potential, and I will continue to do that. I will not stand by and sit idly as the only female on this council. And I so appreciate that every single one of you have stood by me and supported me in my decisions to make comments, to work together, and to be seen on this council. You have all treated me amazingly. And I appreciate that. And I know that you see what 2020 means in our world today. That's it.
Bravo. Bravo.
Good comment, Stephanie. Thank you.
I'm just like shaking right now. I'm so proud of my daughter's friend and our history and where we are. So thank you.
Okay.
And I want other women in our city to move forward and be a part of council in our community. And we have to let them in. And we can't let those comments stymie those people. I mean, we're all getting old, you guys. We have to plan for succession.
Easy about that.
Well, great comment,
Thank
Stephanie. Love it. All right, Member Fonte.
Thank you. All great comments. I did appreciate, Kathy. That was a good explanation, with the employees and so forth. I think a lot of times we're so caught up in the weeds, we forget about the important things. And it's always nice to hear the mayor had some great comments. And Patrick, you're doing a fine job there at the helm. But, without council's cooperation, it's going to be a lot more difficult. And I know the constituents, they're on the outside looking in and they get frustrated. It's why the world's so uptight and divided now. And I think, honestly, if we could just get out of the weeds and just focus on our own lives and try to make sure we're all here, we make minimal amounts of money to try to do a very good job because we really care. It isn't the money, it's about trying to do the right thing for our community. And so, all of us are going to pass one of these days to another job or another life. And, we just do the best we can based on our ability. And, it's always good to sit in the back seat, looking in the rearview mirror, saying different things. But, if anybody wants to step on up and see how easy it is. I mean, I think in real time, we're making such progress. I remember 3 years ago, we talked about the MSB business district. And then by the time we dug into that, we found out we had a lot more to do. And guess what? We're there now. We got the rewrite, just like what Daryl said, he explained it all. The tool bag is almost full, which is when we're looking at the second century, we're looking at how this is going to move forward. Just think about it, we have limited space. And in order to keep a strong, thriving city, as it changes from older to young, I'm in my 60s. So, we're eventually going to move on and the younger generations are going to come in. We got to look past our nose and look at the future, right? And the future says, look, we're going to be doing things. We have a tool belt. We have a tool bag full of goods. Now we have land banking and we have the vision, the DRD, the CRA. We have all these tools in place. We have 5 districts now and we are ripe for the picking. So even though it's scary out there with the COVID and the election and all these crazy things going on, we have a lot of good things, man. We have great people, a great team, and they're being compensated and they're working hard, just like Kathy said. But at the end of the day, we're making the second century ready for a way to generate new people to come in. And Martin is doing a great job with having friendly relations now with our contractors. So now we're ripe so that when we want an opportunity, it might take several months, like the mayor said, we get someone in here and now our Main Street district is going to be ripe for like the Dora and other things as we move forward past us. And that's what our job is to provide that wonderful community, safe and vibrant with these jobs that we're going to be getting, and also a great place to live, work, and play. And besides, we have a great school district, great park district. We have grant money. This thing's going on and on. If you really dig in, and like Daryl said, in the last 18 months, 2 years, there's been so many great developments. And all I'd say is, thank you, veterans, for giving us the freedoms to do what we can do and enjoy what we can enjoy. And I think everybody should take a breath and enjoy the simple things in life. And that was something that happened. We had the nicest summer and the nicest fall. Let's just enjoy the rest of the year and just calm down and be happy. That's it.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you to all our veterans as well.
Thank you, Dominic. Member Soretta.
Yeah, I don't think my voice is going to make me able to say too many things here. Just a quick thank you to everybody. Good comments from everybody, and thank you and appreciate the people who work, make this city better. That's all. No other report.
Thank you, Mark. Member Stroya.
Where to start? I appreciate passion. I really do. And, I appreciate Joe and Larry and Chuck speaking. Let's just all keep it respectful. You can be passionate and respectful. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world and people disagree about things. Passion's a good thing, but let's just keep it under control. I'm really excited about Diebold coming in. Thank you, Mayor, Patrick, everybody involved. Want to say thank you to Ben and Daryl and everybody for your feedback on the rules proposed. And, I voted in person on Tuesday. It was very efficient. It was very safe. And I just want to say thank you to the poll workers. Thank you to the veterans. I'll find some way to appreciate you on Wednesday. Even though we can't do it in person, there's other ways to express our appreciation. And I want to say support local business, and that's it.
Hey, Pat, President Peters, it's Dom.
Yes.
I forgot I wanted to say one thing that I meant to say to Patrick and the mayor. They were on TV last week before election because the Civic Center, they secured 8 of these. Patrick, can you explain real quick, if people aren't aware of it, what happened?
Yes, there were a new technology that's available. It's not a medical device, so there's no FDA issues. But this new device that can emit a certain band in the UV light, UVC, that kills airborne viruses, including what is the COVID virus, according to some of the studies that have been done on this. So this company out of Cleveland, GE, like in General Electric, GE Current, which is a spinoff of General Electric, has this patented technology, and they were looking for a pilot program to install these in, and they were looking for a voting location. And so we appreciate the layup that Mr. Fonte threw our way, but we ran with it and worked with them and got those installed. And they will be there someday, when we return to meeting in person at the Civic Center, or we return to, wedding events and things like that. There will be that those devices will be working to make sure that there's no flu virus running around in the atmosphere inside that location. So it's a really cool thing. And there was a lot of media interest in it.
And there was no charge to the taxpayers?
That's correct.
Okay, so I just thought, that's an important component. And if this technology is good, which time will tell, and we're one of the pilots to have it, so it's great for Little North Canton. They have such a wonderful opportunity, and it was a great news. Channel 5, I think it was on, or Channel 3. It was a good article. If you guys have it, you might want to post it online. Fox 8, you might want to post it online if anybody wants to watch it.
Outstanding. Thank you, Dominic.
We did post it online, by the way.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. I don't think I missed anyone, did I? No, I didn't. All right, final call for new business to council. Seeing none, we will go quickly to the meetings calendar. Next Monday, November 16th will be Committee of the Whole, followed by regular council meeting on the 23rd. And then December 1st at 5 p.m. will be the organizational meeting.
Will that be at the Civic Center or City Hall? Where are we going to meet for that?
That's probably going to be via Zoom. We'll find out here in about a week.
No, the December 1 meeting where we get a headshot.
We're going to be doing it via Zoom. We won't be. It doesn't sound like we're going to be meeting in person. We'll see though. Okay. That concludes our agenda for tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Volt moves.
We're in second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Talk to you
Thank
later.
you, everybody.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good night.
Good night.